Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Cascade. We can hear you.
Oh, perfect.
Thanks
Great.
for being here.
I say that one more time.
I said thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here tonight. I'll give it just a moment. I see people are still popping on. Let's see, I have a computer over here with notes. So as you guys notice my focus go this way, just know that that is what's going on. All right. Hello there. Hi, Jessica. It's good to see you here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Cascade Bishop. I have my master's in education and I have an emphasis in early childhood education. I want to begin by thanking ParentGood for such an incredible platform that we have for us right here. It's such a unique resource to be able to connect experts within this field with people all over the country. I've had a chance to meet with I did a session with a bunch of the experts, and it was really cool getting to know them and just to know that there really is something for everyone here. So, a little bit about me. I have been in the field for over 15 years. I've worked with children in a variety of settings, from private schools and public schools. I worked in foster homes, enrichment centers. I have ran camps. I have also had the opportunity to work with teachers in a lot of those settings and parents as well. So when I became a parent, I kind of shifted gears a little bit and I wanted to move out of the classroom. And my first step was training teachers at my school and then expanding that training to parents. And I found it is such a fun thing to do, to be able to bring parents and their children on the same page so we can work on things together. More often than not, and a lot of what we're going to talk about today are things that we want to pass on to our children. Their skills, their habits. A lot of the time, they're things that as adults we need to unlearn and relearn. So it's nice for us to be able to get on the same page with them. And that is why I love this so much. So hello there. So thank you again, you guys. How this works, we have this chat box here. I do get very, very distracted. So if I don't see your comments or questions in there, Hadar did say that she would go ahead and keep me up to speed on that and we can come back to it. So if you do get a question, feel free to post it in there, or at the end of our presentation, we'll have some time to answer any questions that may have come up. Now, I am going to ask that you guys are active during this presentation. It's really personal. And so the more that you can engage in the questions I give, the more that you'll be able to actually leave here with tools and resources to set you up for success as you're moving forward. So if you don't have a pen, paper, maybe a note app on your phone, I am going to ask that you go ahead and go grab one right now. I'll give you just a couple seconds as you do that because it will be helpful for us. Okay. Awesome. Now, and you can do this too. If I give you guys a thumbs up, feel free to do it also. The more we move our body, the more active and engaged we are as well. Now, jumping right into being engaged, I'm going to do a little exercise with everybody. It's going to take us a little bit of time. It's about 15 seconds. Feels a little long when we're sitting in an environment like this, but just roll with it, okay? So we are going to take 15 seconds and just sit. We're going to be aware of what's going on in our mind. You're just going to kind of take note of what happens in those 15 seconds for you, okay? Are you guys ready? Set. I have to get to an even number, otherwise I can't count. And go. Okay, we did it. It was 15 seconds. Feel free to share in the comments at all if you had any feelings about how that felt. Sometimes it feels really long, and we realize 15 seconds is this tremendous amount of time, enough time for our distractions, for us to notice if we get distracted or to think and plan, the next thing that's going on. But more often than not, we feel like we don't have a lot of time. So when we practice things like this, we realize the value in just a couple seconds. So we're going to do this exercise one more time, but this time we're going to just do 5 seconds, and we're going to take a big breath as we do this. This is one of the most useful tools we have in our pockets as parents. And it's very basic. And I know we all know to take a breath, right? But we need to practice it. So we're going to do a 5-second breath. And I really want you guys to do it with me. Are you ready? Okay. Ready, set, go. And I don't always breathe right. Nothing we ever do is going to be perfect. But in those 5 seconds, you're able to give your body something that you need. And these 5 seconds is something we're going to come back to when we visit some of these new tools and techniques. Okay, so right now, I want you guys to check in with yourself. How are you feeling? Are you feeling excited? Are you tired? Has it been a long day for you? Are you happy? Are you frustrated? There's a lot of different things that we can be feeling, just like our children, right? So getting used to checking in with yourself. Sometimes when you take that deep breath, you're able to give yourself a moment just to see how you're doing. We tend to not check in on ourselves a lot as parents because our priorities and everything in our external environment is stimulating us to go elsewhere, right? Who else kind of feels like, your head goes kind of crazy sometimes? So using that breath to take a moment and check in with yourself is important. So what is our big topic today? Our topic is setting yourself up for success. I know, as a parent, we all want to have those days where every day where our fists are up in the air. We're like, this was an amazing day. This was great. And, that would make parenting so easy. So right now we're just going to check in with that. I would love if anybody wants to share in the comments, share one of those parenting days where you felt like you were on top of the world. What was one of those moments for you? I had a silly one. And my son, he's a little over 1. He just screwed a cap on a bottle for the first time the other day. And you guys, he was so excited. And therefore, I was so excited because he was just proud of himself, and you could see his eyes. And it was in those moments where I was like, this is what it's about. It's about, watching them learn and grow and getting excited together. And I'm pretty sure we both did a little dance and then moved on. So that's one of my big proud moments. And they're small moments, and that's okay. Our days are made up of so many of those, right? So let's take a minute to talk about what is success. I want you to think for a moment for yourself and ask yourself, what does success look like to me? Success is going to look different for every single person. Sometimes we define success by what other people think is successful. Maybe it's the way we were raised. Maybe it was our parents' version of what it looks like to be successful. The narrative that they told you over and over. And maybe that's helped you write your narrative. Maybe you agree with it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're writing your definition of success based on what other people are doing, whether it's moms or dads in your parenting group, your neighbors, people at school. We see something and we're like, oh my gosh, they're the best parent ever. That was amazing. I need to do that too. Right? So we make a lot of quick assumptions based on things we see, but we never really know the whole story. All we really know is what's going on with us. And success is going to look different for every single person. I'm going to give you an example of how success has evolved in my life. Before I had kids, I had just finally dialed in my own routine for me. I knew about my personal development I needed to do. I had dialed in a workout routine. I was eating super clean, drinking my water, energetic at work, was sleeping great. I finally felt like I was on top of the world. Every day I went to bed feeling fulfilled. I was happy. Then I got pregnant and then I had a child, and then my entire world shifted. All of a sudden, I wasn't sleeping right. My needs were backburnered completely. I was trying to just keep this baby alive, right? We're breastfeeding, we're diapers in the middle of the night. My husband's tired too. So there's so many different things going on. that I didn't take the time to really reassess what success looked like for me. What do I want to feel like at the end of the day? What is realistic for me? Because what I was doing before kids is not realistic for me now. Now I have 2 kids, I have a dog, my husband and I are both tired sometimes. So we've had to readjust what success looks like for us. And today we're going to talk about those key components that can help you stay on track so you can define what success looks like to you, and you can also take care of yourself in the process. And when we do this, we show up the best way we can for our kids, right? Let's see. Okay. So one more thing I want to remind you guys of is success is not perfection. That is something that is easily mixed up and confused. We view it kind of like as a race, right? So if you have a start, your halfway point, and then an end point, and success is finishing. But with parenthood, with parenting in general, there is no end point. This is lifelong. So we are always continuously growing and learning and adjusting. And that is one of the baseline things we need to remind ourselves every day is we need to be flexible. What was applicable yesterday may not be today. But again, if we've set ourselves up for success, we've taken care of ourselves and we're ready to be flexible to adjust how we need. So just a quick reminder again, you guys, parenthood looks a lot different than pre-kids. Thumbs up if you agree with me, you know? I thought I was ready for it. This is my field. I thought I knew everything, and all I knew was I need to be flexible. Okay, so right now, just take a quick moment, and I want you to just jot down any key phrases or words that stood out to you that feels like success for you. Just any kind of moments, or how maybe at the end of the day you feel fulfilled, but just take a moment and jot that down so you can come back to it. And it keeps it active in our brain when we take the notes like this also. Okay, so we've talked about those amazing parenting moments, the ones we live for. Oh, I just saw a comment. It said, listening when my 3-year-old, 1.5 and 1.5-year-old is screaming in the background. Oh my goodness, listening. 3 and a 1.5-year-old. Those are the ages I have. And it is such an amazing time, isn't it? There's a lot going on. So let's see. So this leads right into those moments we're not so proud of. We all have them. We all don't necessarily want to be there, but it happens. So what does this look like? These moments we're not so proud of, we're yelling, we're frustrated, we are directing our emotions towards our child. Maybe we're checked out and we're not even like mentally present for them, and they keep talking to us and we don't even know what they're saying. We're not engaged with them in a positive way. Maybe we're mad at them for acting in a way that we just acted. And we tell them we don't yell at your sibling, and then here we go yelling at them to not yell. It becomes a time when we're not really helping them grow. We're using language that can be destructive versus constructive. And these are the times that we want to prepare for, because they're going to happen. Children will have tantrums. They will have their highs and they will have their lows. And their low moments may happen in the most, chaotic time for you. It's how it happens. What is that? Murphy's Law? What can go wrong will go wrong. And if we know those things, then that's another way to set us up for success. We know it's going to happen. What's going on with kids? They're learning emotional regulation. They are testing boundaries. They're trying to figure out what's going on in different settings, right? They are looking to us to see what to do. We are their models. And that's how children learn. They learn through play. They learn through us modeling for them. So when we have these not so proud moments, the children are still learning from us. So it's up to us to be able to acknowledge that and continue the conversation with them after. So right now, this is one of those times where you are welcome to share in the box if you would like to, but I do want you to write this down on your own paper so you have it somewhere too. I want you to think about one time in your day that you are struggling with that you want to learn and grow from. One time during your routine, one time that makes you want to like pull your hair out. Maybe it's not a consistent thing daily, but it's something that pops up. Maybe it's getting out of the house on time in the morning. Maybe you go on road trips frequently, and road trips are a big problem for you guys. Maybe it's brushing your teeth at night, or maybe it's when you get home from school. We all have a different moment that to some extent we might be dreading because it's been such a big emotion before, right? And where we get that feeling from is because we're out of control. We have no control in those moments, and it can feel infuriating. It can feel scary. It can feel confusing for not just us, but for the child too. So take note of what that moment is for you. This is very important because we are going to come back to this at the end today. Okay. If anyone wants to share, please feel free sharing what those moments look like. One of the beautiful things about this community and about opportunities like this is to realize you're not alone. So often I talk to parents who have these chaotic moments and they feel like they're the only one that it happens to. They're the only one that their kids come home and just like open up to in what feels like the worst way possible, right? But it's not. This is what children do. Oh, stress of life. That's hard too, right? We have so many things happening in our life. We have our work, we have our family, we have things going on with the children. It is a lot to balance. So we're going to move forward right now so we can figure out what tools do you have to set you up for success. So it doesn't matter what comes your way, you're ready to take it on. Okay. So we just talked about, those highs and those lows. Now, when we're in these moments, we want to incorporate mindfulness. What is mindfulness? When we're mindful, we are able to show up in the moment the way we want. We're able to show up in a way to help our children. We are able to give them the tools they need to grow and develop. We're able to check in on ourselves as well. So there are 3 components of mindfulness. It is pausing. We all did that earlier and practiced it. Awareness. And then paying attention with kindness. So let's say we've set ourselves up. We're doing great. We're in one of these chaotic moments. Bam, it's happening. Your child is starting to lose it and you're like, okay, I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm going to take that 5-second breath and I'm going to see how I'm feeling. How am I feeling? Am I frustrated right now? Am I mad right now? Are we all frustrated? Am I worried? I'm feeling late. These are things that you can think of really quick, right? And then you can come up with a plan to respond. You're aware. You're aware that your child is 2 years old and so excited about learning to put their shoes on. So this is devastating that you won't let them do it. You can acknowledge it, right? You're showing up with kindness. I can appreciate that you want to put your shoes on right now. However, this is not a good opportunity for it because mommy has to go to work. How about when we come home, we work on this then? So you're able to give yourself a moment to respond, but that doesn't always happen, right? I would love to be able to always pause, be aware, show up with kindness, but it just doesn't happen that way all the time. So what we have to do is set ourselves up so that we can show up that way the most times that we can, or we can be in the right headspace to correct it when we don't. So how do we ensure that we are mindful in these moments? We need to figure out what we can control. Control is a big word and it can feel loaded. Control sometimes can trigger some people and it's not a word that they enjoy. And if that happens to be you, I want you to take a note of it and try to find a new word to replace it because we're going to keep this positive. Okay. So what can we control? Thumbs up if you have attempted to control your toddler or child. And how did that go for you? How about your husband or your partner or someone you live with, right? We can't control other people. We can try. Sometimes it might yield the result we want, but it definitely doesn't do it in a way that we want. So, what can we control? Does anyone want to take some guesses as I change my slide here? Any guesses on what we can control? Ooh, that's a great one. My emotions and not taking things personal. That goes right into one of our categories. And that's a big one to acknowledge, right? This is what we're teaching our children. So right now, we're focusing on you. Me, yes, you. That is who you can control. So there are the two components. Are you ready for this? We can control our own selves and the environment. Now, sorry, one second. Okay. So when we work on controlling these two components, we feel better entering those moments where we are out of control, where we don't have control, where our toddler is having big emotions, or our teenager doesn't want to go to school in the morning, or our 7-year-old is not up for bedtime anymore. So when these moments happen, if we've taken care of the things we can control, we are ready to enter that situation with mindfulness. So let's dive into taking care of ourselves. Who here has heard of you need to put your oxygen mask on first? If you've ever flown, it's something you've heard. I know I heard it as a kid and it didn't make sense to me. I was like, why would you do it? That's selfish. Like, you got to take care of your kids. That's the whole point, right? And it's kind of counterintuitive to do this. But let's think about why. Why do they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first? Because if you don't, you might run out of oxygen and you can't take care of your child, right? So this is similar to our day-to-day. We need to put our oxygen mask on first. Now, it'll look different every single day, and it's not something that we can just jump into and do all at once. It's something we need to take in small steps. It's things we need to practice. It's things that we want to incorporate into our day-to-day so that we can be successful. So there are 5 things that we can control within ourselves. Let's start with the first one, and that is water. We need to be consuming water every day. And I don't mean you took a sip in the morning and you're good for the whole morning. There is a good general guideline, and that is to be drinking half your body weight in ounces a day. It's hard to do sometimes. I am so particular. I have my water right here. I have to have a straw. If I don't have a straw, I won't drink it. And this took me forever to figure out. And with this one, it's 32 ounces. I know how many I need to drink in a day, and I can track it. So again, it seems a little ridiculous because it's water we're talking about. But if I can go throughout my day and grab my water as I'm thirsty and not have to think about it, that's one less thing that I have to worry about during my day. It is something that is becoming organic in my routine. It is something that my subconscious takes care of. And you have to practice so that your subconscious can get that. And so you can get on that trend. So the first one was water. The second one is food. We need to fuel our bodies. Now, you guys, I don't like cooking. I am not good at cooking. It is not something I enjoy. And I will easily grab something that's not healthy or just not eat if there's not something there. And both of those things are not doing me service to my body. So if I haven't drank my water or ate my food, and my child decides to have a moment, I am really not able to show up in the way I want to. I'm frustrated, I'm short, and maybe I can acknowledge that and be like, I'm gonna go get some water. Do you want some too? We need to take care of ourselves so we can show up. How can you help yourself with food? Pack snacks. Prep stuff ahead of time. Give yourself healthy options to grab from. So it's not something you have to think about as much, because if we have to stop in our busy days to think about something as basic as I need to drink water or I need to eat some food, it can derail us, or we can push it away because we just don't have time, right? So the third one is movement. So we've been going for about 20 minutes right now. So I want everybody just to move with me. Roll your head, roll your shoulders, kind of stretch it out. Okay. what do you notice in your body? Your eyes open up a little more. You maybe sit up straighter. You can focus a little better. Your voice is a little clearer. This is such a basic thing that, again, remember, pre-kids me could work out daily. Right now, I can't do that daily. It doesn't work for my schedule, but I can move. So what do? We go on walks. I take the dog out. The kids and I go for walks. We do dance parties in our house. The other day we were losing it. We put on some 90s music and just jammed out, and it helped us change our state. It helped get our energy flowing, and it was great. So finding a way to move every day. It doesn't have to be big. It can be 10 minutes. Maybe it's 10 minutes of stretching. Maybe you're, you know, doing two things at once by taking the dog for a walk and doing that for yourself, but finding a way to move is important. Now, this fourth one is sleep. Sleep varies. Sometimes we can be in control of it, and sometimes we're not. For example, your kids are teething or they're sick. They're not going to sleep as well. You have a newborn at home. So what you need to do is you need to be aware of this. You need to say, hey, tonight everyone's feeling great. I have an opportunity to sleep. I'm going to take it. Sometimes we only have a little bit of time at night and we choose that show instead of the sleep, right? But you have to weigh it out for yourself to see if this is worth my next day. Am I going to be able to show up bright-eyed the next morning? Or am I going to be feeling grumpy because I didn't get as much sleep and now I'm going to take that out on anyone who's around me? You need to make the choice for yourself. So sleep is one that sometimes we can control, sometimes we can't. Being aware of that is really important. Now, the fifth one is something I love. I call it my bucket. It also has to do with your mental health. But there is this children's book, and I want you guys to write this down. I'm sure there is a YouTube video that someone reads for it. But the book is called Have You Filled Your Bucket Today by Carol McLeod. So visualize this with me, you guys. Everybody has a bucket. Our bucket is like our energy, our happiness, our well-being. And every day we take things out of our bucket. Maybe we did something we did all the yard work and that drained us. And then maybe, we had to take the dog for a walk and we did all this, and we helped other people. And then things help make us feel better too. Seeing my son screw that cap on filled my bucket. It made me really happy. It made me feel great. But the best way to fill your bucket is to do something special for you. Now, you may need to tap back into your pre-kid brains right now, but I want you to think about something that fills your bucket. What is something that you love to do? You love it more than anything. It gets you so excited. And I don't want you to say, be with my kids. We know you love being with your kids. We know you love them. This has no reflection on them. You will not be selfish for saying this. So, a great book. That is wonderful. Finding time to read. Some people love podcasts. For me, it's dance. Some people have hobbies that they love, like golf or all sorts of hobbies, right? But it may not be practical to incorporate into our day-to-day. So I encourage everybody to find something small that they can do day to day. Maybe that's reading 10 pages of a book. Maybe, you blast your music while you're taking a shower and that's something that really perks you up. But then also find that time to do the thing you love. So if you didn't write that down, what that is for you, I want you to write it down right now. Like I said, mine was dance. I cannot go take a class daily. Sometimes weekly it works, but realistically for me, I can do something big once a month. So I'm going to put that into my calendar. Drink tea, read a book, and cycling. Yes. So, so drink tea, read a book. You can do that one daily. But cycling may happen every other day. Cycling and running, same things. You're finding things that you love that you can take with you anywhere. If you are on a vacation, you still need to take care of you. If things are going crazy, you only have 10 minutes, you need to find out what you can do in that 10 minutes. And that fills your bucket and it's exciting. So put a star around that, make some big fireworks next to it. You're going to find a way to incorporate this because that is part of our identity. And as parents, sometimes we lose a little bit of our identity. We become mom life, right? dad life, not this is Cascade's life. We forget that there are other components to us that aren't about being a parent. And sometimes we feel that maybe that's because, sometimes that can make us feel like we're being selfish. And selfish can have such a negative connotation. But I'm here to tell you, change the word, because taking time for you is exactly what you need to do. And it teaches your children that it is important to take this time. It is important to say, I'm taking 10 minutes for myself right now. What would you like to do in this 10 minutes so you can do something for you too? These children are watching us. They are seeing what we are doing, and it is so important to be that role model for them. Not only does it help us, it helps them. So again, put a big star around that, because that is something I want you guys to find a way to incorporate. Okay. Okay. Now, we talked about that first component of what we control, which is ourselves. The next component is our environment. Now, there are 3 areas here that I want to discuss, but the first thing I want to ask you was that I love that. I forget they need me time too. They do. And that's the beauty of this, you guys. Everything we are learning to do for ourselves, or rewiring, the kids are learning to do too. They need to drink their water. They need to eat snacks. They need to move. They need to sleep. They need to fill their bucket. And what makes them excited is going to be different than somebody else, right? So figuring out what that is. Awesome. Okay, so that was ourselves. The next component is our environment. Question for you. What room of the house do you guys spend your most time in? I know wherever I am, my kids tend to be. It's just natural, right? If I hop in to do the dishes, they are right there with me, and that's where they're playing. So we tend to spend most of our time in the living room and the kitchen. The kitchen, yep. So let's talk about that space for a minute. You know, you're in the kitchen. It's a big social area. The adults congregate there. The kids are there too. Now, say you're having a conversation with somebody and your child is opening this drawer like below you, but it has something you don't want them to touch. So you tell them, hey, remember, we don't open that drawer. Okay. And then you go back to your conversation. They keep doing it again. Why? Because drawers are cool. They open, they shut, they hold things. They're awesome. But you're trying to have a conversation and you don't want them to get hurt. So you're trying to keep them safe. So you tell them again and you tell them again. And now you're frustrated. And so are they. Maybe you yell, maybe they yell back, and nobody was set up for success. So what could we do differently? We can take a look at this drawer. It's something they love. Can I take the things out of it and replace it with something that I'm okay with them getting into? Or can I put a kid lock on that door so they're not going to open it? Then they try once, they realize they can't, and they move on to the next thing. So when we are conscious of the spaces our children are going to be in, we can set it up in a way to keep them safe. For example, your bedroom. You know, children spend a lot of time in their bedroom by themselves. This is a big hesitation and fear for a lot of parents, because they want their kids to be safe and they feel like if they're by themselves, maybe they won't be. So what can you do? You can fix that dresser to the wall so that if they climb on it, it's not going to fall over, right? You can take the time to be conscious of the things that are in there that are appropriate for them to use, so you don't have to tell them no. They're encouraged to be in the space that you're in. Now, again, if we take the time to change our space, does that mean that kids are not going to get into stuff? No. Does that mean they're not going to find that one thing to climb on that you didn't think of? No. Kids are still going to be kids, but we're preparing ourselves to feel a little more at ease with what kind of exploring they're doing. We've set them up for success. We've given them resources to use in a space that they're going to be in. Now the conversations we can have are kinder. We can understand more of what they're coming from as well. So let's see. Now let's see if we're not at the home. What happens then? I have an example that I feel like most of you guys will know exactly what it feels like. We were out at Apple Hill a couple weeks ago, a big, fall festival type thing. And my 3-year-old rode a pony for the first time. She loved it. Best thing ever. I've Never seen her smile so big. Then we get off this pony and she realizes she's not getting back on the pony and that it's time for us to go to the next thing. And she loses it. She is devastated. She's never seen a pony, and now she has to leave this pony that she loves and she needs. Her whole world just crumbled. Now I'm sitting there and I was like, okay, I've been working on this, setting yourself up for success presentation. I've already had my water. I've eaten my food. And now, though, I'm feeling this pressure of everybody around me because that's what happens when we're out and about, right? You start feeling people's eyes looking at you. You start seeing that look of, oh my goodness, your child is so loud. Or maybe you'll catch the eye of another parent that says, I feel ya, right? But the reality is, this environment is not helping me. I am so distracted by what everybody else is doing. I can't focus on what my kid needs. So I need to change it. That is something I am in control of. I can control the space that we're in. Now, it might not be easy. We have all carried a screaming toddler somewhere, and it can be a challenge, right? So we changed the environment. We went to a new space. There was no one around us. She rolled around in the dirt for a while. I drank some water, took some deep breaths, and we were able to come back to a place where we could talk. It took a little bit of time, but it's how I wanted to show up. I wanted to be present with her. I wanted her to help work through that moment that was so big for her. But I could not do it when I felt like I had 100 eyes on me. It was too distracting. So being in control of your environment also means you can move to somewhere new. And that's really important to remember. And sometimes this environment is overstimulating for your child too. If you're feeling the pressure surrounding you, they are also. So this is something that they are learning from you, that if I don't feel safe in the space that I'm at, I can find a space where I feel safe to explore the emotions I'm having, to be able to work through it and know that it's okay. Our emotions are valid. As parents, your emotions are valid. As children, their emotions are valid. But we are in control of how we're responding. So when we've taken care of ourselves, when we are aware of our environment, we can show up and give whatever the situation needs. We can give it the attention that it needs. And again, this looks different for everybody. Okay, let's see. So we've talked a lot about the things we can control and the things we can't control. We're going to do a quick little recap, and then that way we can open it up to see if anybody has any questions or anything like that. So let's talk about our highs and our lows. We have those amazing high parenting moments, those moments where we are just so excited, we feel great, and this is where we want to be as much as we can, right? But we know that we're human, that we are feeling a lot of different emotions, and that our children are feeling a lot of different emotions. We are relearning patterns that are healthy for us, and our children are learning healthy patterns for the first time, right? So we're going to have those not so proud moments. They will happen, right? But we can always come back, circle back around, address what was going on. I am so sorry that I just yelled. I realized that I haven't taken care of myself this morning. And so I'm feeling very short. I'm going to go grab a glass of water, take a moment, and then we can come back and talk about this. Again, we don't always show up like this, but we have a chance to come back and show up like this. So being mindful, let's practice it. You're in a moment, right? What do? We need to pause and take a breath. How are you feeling? Why are you responding the way you're responding? Do you want to show up this way? I don't want to show up this way. What's going on with my child? They're feeling a little frustrated right now too. I can see that. They just got their favorite toy taken away from them. Okay, now let's talk about this. When we show up like this, we're not making judgments. We're not judging our child for their response. We're not judging ourselves for our response. We're just taking it for what it is. This is what's happening. This is what I need to do. But we only can show up like that if we've taken care of what we can control. You've got to spend the time taking care of yourself. And what is the biggest limitation and biggest excuse everybody has? Anyone want to share what they think it is? What is the biggest excuse as a parent that we all throw around left and right? Anyone? Okay, it's time. How often have you said, I don't have time for that? I don't have time for this to your child? They're breaking down and you told them, I don't have time for this. Oh, that hurts. If you were having a moment and your, partner or someone important to you came up and said, I don't have time for this. How does that make you feel? Right? It doesn't feel good. And it's not one of those proud moments. And the reality is we have time, but we need to break it down. I don't have time for my partner and it makes me, and that is a whole nother balancing thing, right? So she was saying, well, I don't have time for my partner and it makes me feel awful. I get it. Again, we talk about who we were before we had kids and now we have kids. And we have to redefine what success looks like for us. What is a realistic expectation of my day? And what are my priorities? Spending time with my significant other is important, right? Spending time with your children is important. Spending time with yourself is important. So as you're beginning to make these adjustments, we know what we need to do. We know how we want to show up, but we're worried we don't have time for it. We haven't had time. We didn't have time yesterday. We didn't have time today. Why would we have time tomorrow? It's being conscious. There's a lot of time in our day that we waste. One of my tricks that I like to do is I like to time myself. So thinking of setting yourself up for success, in my house at night, we set our house to 0. And this means that we just go around and do a quick reset so that when we wake up the next day, we walk into like good energy and we're ready to go. We don't have a lot of time. Nobody wants to clean up at the end of the day. So you can include your children. I'm saying, okay, you guys, I'm putting 3 minutes on the clock. For 3 minutes, I'm going to just do dishes. You guys pick a space and let's just do it together. So give yourself just short chunks of time. Eventually you'll realize, actually I have 5 minutes. Maybe actually I have 10 minutes. But start small. So whatever you need to prioritize and reintegrate into your life, start with a small time. So you have time for you and your partner. Pick 5 minutes. Pick 5 minutes maybe in the morning or 5 minutes at the end of the day. If you can do both, that's great. But put your phones in like a different space and just be together. Give yourselves a long hug, have some kind of connection point. We know that we're adjusting, we're working. If your spouse isn't here tonight, ask them what their, big bucket item is. What is something you love to do too? When we're all checking in with each other and making sure our needs are met, we all feel like we can show up better. And I totally get not feeling like you have time. It happens, but we have to be conscious and aware and mindful of what we're using our time for. Because in the end, if we spend the time doing the things that we know will set us up for success, then we end up saving time. We're not spending time in the middle of that tantrum that lasts an hour. We're not fighting from when we walk out the door in the morning until we drop the kids off at school, because now those feelings are going to sit with you all day and it's going to affect the rest of your day. So when we show up, when we take care of ourselves, when we are aware, when we are mindful, we can be the parent that we want to be. Look down at that definition you have. Is there something that says like, what did you want to feel at the end of the day? You want to feel fulfilled. You want to feel happy. You want to feel loved. You want to end the day with laughter. What does that look like for you? And how are you going to get there? So as we're going, I know this was a lot of information. And actually, Hadar, if it's okay with you, I have some slides that I would love to post in the ParentGood Facebook page so people can kind of revisit them as they need. But I want you guys to think of that one moment you wrote down earlier today. What was that moment? Oh, thank you, Hadar. What was that moment that you want to learn from, that moment you're not proud of, that sticky situation, that chaotic time. And I want you to think about it. And I want you to think about what is one thing, just one thing you can begin to work on so that you can set yourself up for success. I'm going to give you an example. Maybe your chaotic moment is getting out of the house on time. You have to get the kids in the car, everybody's ready to go by a certain time, and that's hard. So, what can you do to set yourself up for success? Maybe, you drink your water all the time and you are so good about that. Maybe your self-care is on point, but your environment is not. Maybe you need to pack lunches and bags the night before so you don't have to in the morning and you're ready to go. Success and what's going to help us get through our day is going to look different for everybody, and that is okay. It is okay for it to be different. There are different parenting styles. There are different methods, trainings. There are, different viewpoints. There are different values, right? So when you are sitting there and figuring out what you can change, one small thing you can change and work on, I want you to also keep in mind, what does success look like for me? What does that feel like? And the only wrong answer is if it doesn't actually align with your values and what works for your family. So if you have defined success based on what somebody else did, based on, your neighbor down the street who potty trained their child in 2 days and your child is not, if that is going to direct your success, it's wrong because it's not relevant to you. So you need to check in with yourself to figure out what that looks like. We're taking care of ourselves, our mind, our body, our soul. We're making sure our kids are learning to do this too. We are bringing our spouse or our partner into this with us and engaging them to make sure they're taking care of themselves too, because it's frustrating if you're doing it, but your partner's not, right? We all want to show up. So it's a team effort. So with that, I want to say thank you guys. I know that is a lot of information. I will have the slides on the ParentGood Facebook page so you can check them out. But I wanted to ask, does anybody have any questions? Is there a moment of your day where you don't know what one thing might be to help you? Or is there a parenting high that you want to share? Or if you want to share that one trick or that one tip or that one tool that you're going to start to integrate. So I'll leave that open right now. If anybody wants to chime in, please feel free to do so. You're very welcome. I absolutely love being here. When I work with children, these are all the things that we work on in our preschool classroom. We worked on building self-help skills. We worked on articulating our emotions. We work on, giving them tools so they can do it themselves. And as parents, I really and truly feel like sometimes we just switch gears when we have kids and we forget to take care of ourselves. We forget to put that oxygen mask on first. We think it's going to be 2 times. Oh, yeah. Do I hear somebody or? Okay. I heard a child. But yeah, so taking that time for you. So right now, what is that one thing for yourself? What is the one thing that you are going to start doing tonight? Do you have your water bottle? If not, you need to find your water bottle. I love a 3-minute. My goal is to honor my son's love language in those 3 minutes. Also my husband's and mine. Yes. And I don't know if any of you guys, are familiar with love languages, but you can take like a quick test online. It's a great way to just kind of see how people receive love because we all receive things differently. Someone may have like contact, physical touch as their love language, and somebody else has words of affirmation. I'm a physical touch and my husband comes at me with a lot of words of affirmation and I'm like, I'm not receiving your love. So you have to communicate. You have to know, right? And your children are different too. So find out what makes them tick. Prepping your meals. Sundays are my big meal prep day. And no joke, you guys, it makes such a difference. I can get containers where I put my children's lunches in it and I prep 5 days of their lunches ready to go. So when we were going to school daily, it was easy and I didn't have to think about it. For myself, you can cut veggies up ahead of time. You can prep salads like in mason jars, so it's grab and go. Having it easy to grab though is key, because if you have to make it, chances are you're going to completely push it to the side, right? Oh, goals, trying to balance life. Yes, that is what we are doing every single day. And I want you to take it one step further, though, and I want you to think of something specific you're going to start with. Okay. So start with that self care. Check in your water, check on your food, check on your movement, check on, your sleep and filling that bucket. Because if you do those things, you'll be able to be aware of all the other needs going on, your work needs, your family needs, your spouse, your kids, but you really have to start there. When you start there and you do that, you're able to, take on anything that comes your way. And honestly, you guys, I cannot tell you how many times I have those moments where I snap or I'm short. And a lot of the time it goes towards my husband more than it does my kids. And it is something as simple as drinking my water. And I think, and I'm like, oh, I didn't drink my water. Or, oh, I skipped lunch today. It is such a small thing, but it takes being aware of it to change it. So being aware of one thing at a time is where you're going to start. Start with one, rock it, and then pick the next one. Okay. So, meal prepping, give yourself a week. Figure out what works. If you don't like something, change it and then give it another week and see what worked this week. Because remember, we're always growing, you guys. There is no end point with parenthood. There's no end point with our personal growth either. Things are always changing. We're always getting new curveballs, right? But if we take care of ourselves, we can show up the way we want to. So you try to maintain my journal to track progress and assess areas to improve. Absolutely. And that was something we started with tonight, is writing things down. When you write something down, it's easier for us to check in. It's easier to be accountable to it. And then you're able to see how you grow, because sometimes we forget, if you write something down and you revisit it, you can be like, oh my goodness, I've been trying to work on water and now I've done that. I can move to the next thing. But you need something to check in with. Otherwise, we forget about ourselves. So journaling is a wonderful tool. Oh, and yes, above all, you guys, forgive yourself for those moments and hit the reset button. We are human. Our children are human. Our spouses and partners are human. We're gonna mess up. It's okay. And that's what we want to show our children, right? It's okay to mess up. We fail forward. We acknowledge what was going on. We acknowledge how we want to change. And we know that we can hit the reset button. It doesn't have to be the next day. It doesn't have to be on a Monday. It doesn't have to be anything like that. Like, you can choose to hit the reset button right now. You can choose to grab your water. You can choose to grab a snack. You can choose to have that conversation where it feels ugly and you have to address that you did something you didn't like. But it's teaching. They're learning from us in every moment. All right. Anyone else? Okay, you guys, I want to thank you again. We all have such busy schedules. And so taking the time to be here for this tonight really, should show yourself that you're doing what you need to be able to show up for your children, to be able to be the parent you want to be, and to figure out what that looks like. And know that it's okay for it to be different. It's okay for us to feel all of the emotions. It is valid. And you're doing a great job. And again, we can hit the reset button. So give yourself grace, give yourself forgiveness, give yourself time. Take care of yourself. You are the only one responsible for you. And those small little things will make a big difference when, everything hits the fan and you're like, is this really what's happening? You're prepared. You're in your best headspace for it. And that's what we want. Oh, thank you guys. And thank you, Hadar. I really appreciate you putting these together. we've been able to hear so many great topics. If you guys want to reach out to me personally, you can find me on the ParentGood app. I have free consultations. I love to connect with parents on any part of their journey and just let you know you're not alone. We can come up with a plan that helps you feel like you're set up for success as well. And if it is something that I'm not able to help you with, we have a lot of experts in the ParentGood app that are there to help. So thank you again. Thank you, Hadar. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you guys ever need anything. Have a great night, everybody. Okay. Hadar, I think I'm going to head. Does that sound good to you? I think it blinked. Okay. Sounds
Oh
great.
yes, it was amazing. Sorry, my mute button was messed up.
Nope.
It was a
Nope.
great.
Oh, I think it cut out again. That's okay. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. Have a great night. I believe this is being recorded right now too, so we can revisit it if we want, but feel free to check out those slides I post. And yeah, go do something for you. Figure out what that is, okay? Because it'll really, really help that your mental health and your mindset. Have a great night, you guys.